Welcome back to video number 5 of the Mustang build. I know these videos are taking some time to get finished, as I am a bit of a perfectionist. First up is some detailing in the engine bay. I've got to install the battery, and then paint the strut covers black. Then I will fasten the radiator to the engine fan cowling. So far, everything on this model has fit together really well, without any gaps or putty required, at least until now. For some reason, when I tried to seat the engine in the engine cradle, it sticks up at an odd angle and refuses to lay flat. After trying a few different things, I ended up spending about half an hour shaving down the engine cradle with an X-Acto blade so that the engine would seat properly. I don't know if this has been a problem for anyone else who has built this kit, or if somehow I made a mistake in the assembly of the engine. Anyway, problem solved. Believe it or not, this is my first time applying decals. I think like most people, I was really intimidated by the process. I was sure I was going to screw up. Actually, it turns out that they're pretty easy if you go step by step and take your time. Before I started, I prepared a cup of water, a wet paper towel, and I had my bottles of micro scale micro set and micro scale micro sol ready to go. I went ahead and marked the bottle caps number 1 and number 2 so I wouldn't mix them up. I'd soak up any excess water off the decal by carefully rolling a Q-tip across the surface rather than rubbing it. That way there's no chance of moving or ripping the decal after it's in place. You'll note that every time I switch between microsol and microset, I clean the brush. Microsol softens the placed decal, causing it to conform to the shape of the model and follow any contours, bumps, rivets, etc. Once you have placed the decal and applied the solvent, you don't want to try to reposition the decal, or there's a good chance it will fall apart or tear. I wet the decal for 10 seconds. I apply micro set. I slide the decal off of the paper and apply it to the model. I dab up any excess. And then finally I apply the solvent. If you live somewhere that you can't find microscale products, another product people use is called Solvaset. If that's what you're using, I would mix up a thinned batch of it with some water to use as the surface prep, and then use the full strength version for the final coat. So I'm happy to say the end is in sight on this project, as it is time for a bunch of final assembly, including the steering column, turn signal, and steering wheel, and then placing the finished dashboard into the chassis. Getting the exhaust to connect to the engine took a bit of work, and I taped the pieces in place just to make sure the glue cured properly. Now it's time to do the suspension. For just a few seconds here you can see the shocks and struts are in place and ready to accept some wheels. That actually took quite a while to get those positioned correctly. This is like 2 hours of footage cut down to about a minute, as the pieces were pretty tricky to put in place and get everything aligned. I'm glad I started with a relatively easy kit where the pieces are well designed to fit together nicely. course, I ran into another situation where I did not paint the back side of the disc and drum brakes, and you can clearly see them from underneath. So I will have to paint those. Like I said in a past video, paint the fronts and backs of everything. You never know if you'll be able to see it later. The next video will be finishing the body, installing the clear parts, and wrapping up this build. This video series is a learning process for me, so I appreciate any comments, feedback, or suggestions that you guys have. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below, or hit me up on Facebook or by email. Thanks for watching!